everybody. I appreciate everybody that's tuned into my content. Today is a topic that I really wanted to talk about. And it's like a topic I feel like all of us are going through, all of us have to go through in life overall. And the topic is change. Things are constantly changing around us. Ourselves, circumstances, things around us as far as entertainment, trends, technology. From personal levels where I like to start though, we all go through different seasons of our life. You may go from infancy to childhood to adulthood. Within those years, we're constantly changing and things around us as well. I was blessed to reach the age of 27, which is, hard for me to accept because I feel like I'm getting older. And my life has changed dramatically throughout these years. Through this change, some fears have followed because there have been stages in my life I wanted to cling to. Being a teenager, I had the privilege to not have to worry about responsibilities and providing for myself. My collegiate years were so fun to me because I had the privilege to play on a sports team, hang out with friends while balancing school responsibilities without the pressures of being in the workforce or having adulthood responsibilities. From those collegiate years getting my bachelor's, I had to accept the change when I graduated. I no longer was competing on a sports team or preparing in the off season for a new season. I was no longer waiting another year to live on campus with my friends, and I went from pursuing a degree to having to use a degree. It was very scary and stressful for me. And although it was scary for me because I was so used to that stage of my life and I grew in comfort in that area of my life, I had to accept the change and choose to grow while moving forward. This verse below comes to mind because it challenges us to move forward and not hold on to past stages of our life. Change is a part of growth. Accepting change combats time wasted. We have to get out of our comfort zone if we want to grow and move forward with the transitions of life. For so long in my life, I was always used to having a girl by my side. One of my friends told me, we was talking like a couple days ago, he was saying like, man, dude, you used to stay in a relationship. Truth be told, I used to look at those relationships as comfort, and I was fearful for a long time to be alone. When I first came to Christ and was in my last relationship years ago, I knew the Holy Spirit was nudging me to lead that relationship and to finally focus on myself, by myself, in my relationship with Him. I remember breaking down in the shower, bawling my eyes out because it was a fight, and I was so fearful of that change. God strengthened me though. And as I left that relationship, I was finally able to see the growth and the true transformation of my life as I was able to focus on myself and my relationship with Christ, and which has pushed me closer to my desired future and on the right side of change. Going back to, what I said before, we got to get out of our comfort zone if we want to grow. It's easy to choose comfort, but this could be costing our destiny and a great plan that God has for our life. So you may have to leave that situation in order to be by yourself in a season to grow. God truly helped me and shifted my perspective because it was an act of faith where I had to trust Him and His plan while transitioning to singlehood. And I came to grips with the reality that I'm not going to hinder my ability to heal, get where I desire to get to because of another human and my own fears. It's growth in that change. It's peace in that change. Our futures depend on this change. Our current and future families will be affected by this change. Even in relationships, for those that are in relationships and have been in them for a while, can attest to the aspect of change in their relationships. Long-term relationships always involve changes. You know how we hear about the honeymoon stage and then the latter stage. Acceptance has to be occurring within experience of the relationship, with the family unit understanding that love may be the same, but the circumstances surrounding the marriage will not. Kids will come forth, troubles will come forth, and change continues to happen. That's why it's so important to be in an intentional marriage that is ordained by God, to ensure both parties are true in their intent together and are spiritually aligned. Blessings flow from that kind of relationship, and we have no choice but to grow together through the change, especially when a unit is intentional and on the same page. Change is inevitable. We get older and we start to see the dynamics of our family change. We used to depend on the elders in our family, and now we are transitioning to become the elders. Personally, this is prevalent in my life. My grandfather just passed away several weeks ago, and a lot of my older family members have passed on as well. Those family get-togethers has faded, and now being 27, a lot of my siblings and cousins now have families of their own and are in that stage of adulthood. Now we're the ones planning the get-togethers. God has currently helped me accept this transition from youth to an elder within my family. But this is something that's expected though, and with that change comes responsibility to take initiative to fellowship with my loved ones and to be a positive influence for the youth of my family, to be a role model to them as my elders were to me. Things around us are constantly changing, Gas prices aren't the same. There's no longer the 4 chips for 25 cents at the corner store, which has, been hard for me to accept. You got cars driving themselves. Trends is forever changing. What was popular or a wave in the music industry before has now transitioned to the next artist. The sports industry is changing. Athletes are getting more advanced at their craft. You got high school players getting NIL. You got college players getting NIL now. O-line and D-line 40 times or faster than they was before in football. You got the super team phases going in and out in the NBA. Recovery is becoming more extensive in sports. You see things are constantly changing around us. Overall, accepting and growing through the various changes of life calls for a need for a power source outside of ourselves, which is why I always live by and encourage others to live by a spiritual perspective. Doing it in our own strength and intellect is not enough for us to be truly able to successfully and healthily grow through the various processes of change in life. Through accepting Christ, we are given a supernatural indwelling of the Holy Spirit, and living a life yielded to the Spirit, we are able to have a comforting power and a spiritual compass to propel us forward in ways we could never do in our own strength. Since we know change is inevitable, let's choose to grow forward through the process. This, has truly helped my life for the better. Hope this message was able to help somebody else out as well. Thank you all, and God bless.